SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. ESPNU is on the campus of Southern Illinois University for Missouri Valley Conference basketball. Tonight, the Salukis, who are as tough as anybody in the country at home, take on the Shockers of Wichita State. With Chris Piper, I'm Bill Dolman. And Chris, we have the hottest team in the league taking on the winningest team in the league with stars to watch on the inside and out.
Well, for Wichita State, Paul Miller, 6'10". He's got great size, but even better touch on the perimeter. He can step out, face up. It's going to be important for him to act as a pressure release here tonight against Southern Illinois. They're great pressure defense on the perimeter. And anytime you talk about the Salukis from Southern Illinois, you got to talk about great guard play. Darren Brooks, Stetson Hairston, they're gone. The guy filling that spot, Jamal Tatum. He's explosive, quick first step. The problem for him this year, struggling shooting the ball. He's got to pick a better shot selection here tonight.
Well, Wichita State's Sean O'Geary has been a key for Wichita State's success this year. He's a double-figure scorer who's also in the top 10 in assists in the Valley. He and the Shockers will try to shock the Salukis, who have won 28 in a row at home. Basketball is brought to you by Allstate. Are you in good hands? And welcome back to SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. Southern Illinois and Wichita State. We talked about Paul Miller and Jamal Tatum, two of the top players in what has emerged as one of the top conferences in the country.
Well, definitely no question about that. The Valley has done really well this year. You know, Paul Miller has really come into his own this season. He was a guy a little bit maligned last year in the Wichita area. He does so many things, though. Great hands, ability to turn and score. And Jamal Tatum, you know, he started off this season without Stetson Hairston and Darren Brooks. They had to move him to the point guard spot. Southern Illinois starts out 1-2. They move him to the off guard spot. Southern Illinois now won 6 straight.
Well, the head coach of the Wichita State Shockers is Mark Turgeon, now in his 6th season on the Wichita State bench, closing in on the century mark in career wins with Wichita State. And his counterpart is one of the youngest coaches in the country, Chris Lowry. He's in his 2nd season, 35 wins already. Southern Illinois comes in at 8-3 on the year, 1-0 in conference play. Meanwhile, Wichita State 11-2, 2-0 in the league. And there's Chris Lowry. Took over for Matt Painter, who was here for just a year before taking the job at Purdue. And all that Chris Lowry did last year, 27-8, 15-3 in the Valley. They won the Valley's regular season championship, the 4th consecutive year the Salukis have taken that title. And Southern Illinois is coming off of a trip to the NCAA tournament in which they advanced this 2nd round.
Well, you know what's even more amazing about that, Bill, is for Southern Illinois to have all these wins. And that's with 3 different coaches. But the denominator there, the common denominator, all 3 coaches came with the same family chief: Bruce Weber, Matt Painter, and Chris Lowry.
Bruce Weber, of course, now at the University of Illinois. And the first shot of the ball game is missed by the Shockers, who are in their road black uniforms, trimmed in white and gold. Southern Illinois in their home whites, trimmed in maroon. And watch for a very deliberate pace by Southern Illinois. This is a team that does not like to get the score above 70.
Well, they like to turn that motion offense over, just grind it on you.
Randall Falker gets the rebound on the first miss by Southern Illinois. And Falker will try it again, and that's no good. And the rebound, Wilson had it in his hands momentarily. We've got a whistle and a foul, and that'll go against Wichita State. Here's a look at our starting lineups for tonight's ball game. Couisnard had an outstanding game in the win over Bradley the other night in overtime. 13 points, 13 rebounds. Miller, of course, in the middle, outstanding. For Southern Illinois, they'll go with a 3-guard lineup of Tatum, Mullins is a true freshman, and Young. They will rotate guards a lot because they play such a high-pressure defensive style game.
Well, Southern Illinois picks you up at the half court, and they just try to keep you out of that 3-point line. Great pressure defense on the perimeter.
O'Geary with the 3, and he got it. Sean O'Geary, the sophomore from Denver, a 41% shooter from behind the arc.
Well, tremendous shooter. They've had to move him to the point guard spot, really out of necessity, but a nice job there for him, reading the defensive pressure on the opposite wing, flared to the open spot.
Good pass by Falker, hitting Matt Shaw, who flies in for the dunk, and Southern Illinois is on the board.
A nice look over the top that time by Randall Falker. He felt the double team come. Matt Shaw goes to the basket. No weak side help for Wichita State.
This is P.J. Couisnard with the basketball. Finding Miller, who's not afraid to take the 17-footer. Back iron no good, and Shaw has the rebound. Matt Shaw averages about 5 boards per game. He's not a big guy, he's just 6'7", but the front line for Southern Illinois is very athletic, and they are With a great presence around the glass.
Well, and that's the shot that Jamal Tatum's got to get rid of. He's a guy that can shoot the ball extremely well. Shot 46% as a freshman from 3, but his shot selection's gone downhill this season. I think he's put a lot of pressure on himself offensively to score for this Southern Illinois team.
Well, he scored a lot. Tatum averaging 18 points a game. O'Geary with an awkward shot. That's no good. Wilson has it go off his fingertips. He and Falker battle for it, and it's out of bounds. Last touched by Southern Illinois. It's Wichita State basketball.
Well, two things you see there immediately on that possession. Southern Illinois always great rotation on the weak side coming over to stop, and also see the youth of Wichita State. O'Geary taking that up a little bit soft instead of taking it right at the defense.
Wilson tracks down the loose ball. Another crack at it for Wichita State. Shockers have won 4 in a row.
Nice help again by Falker coming over. Wichita State wants to post up Kusnard inside against the undersized Tony Young.
O'Geary comes up shy on that three-point try, and it's out of bounds to Southern Illinois. 3-2 is our score very early on here in Carbondale. Very early on in conference play as well, but each of these teams has at least a game under its belt in the league. Southern Illinois is 1-0. Wichita State is 2-0, but those two wins by a combined total of 6 points, including an overtime win over Bradley, in which they won the other night 69-67. Southern Illinois' conference win is over Drake. And that pass out of the reach of Matt Shaw and a turnover to Wichita State. Each team with a made basket here in the early going. Wichita State's got a 3. Southern Illinois a dunk. Neither team shooting the ball all that well, just a combined 2 for 10 so far. Here's Wilson. Shot clock to 15 as Wilson misses that. And the loose ball scramble, and we've got a held ball, and the arrow belongs to Southern Illinois.
Well, Wichita State getting some open looks, but they're going to have to make those count. When you rotate the ball defensively or offensively against that SIU defense, you can get a shot from the outside, but they're going to have to hit it.
Not a lot of scoring. We didn't anticipate it. 3-2 early on here in Carbondale. Shockers on top of the Salukis, 3-2 very early on with Chris Piper. I'm Bill Dolman. And Chris, even though this is very early on in conference play, as strong as the Missouri Valley has been so far, this is a very important game for these two teams.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, for Wichita State, it's a chance to come in here to a place that they have never won in Mark Turgeon's era and get an early win against Southern Illinois. And Southern Illinois, on the other side, it's a chance for them to quiet the critics because they started with a slow beginning to this season.
Well, Southern Illinois started the year 2-3 and then has gone on a 6-game win streak, and another held ball. There was a timeout that was called during that last scramble. That's why Wichita State had it. We do have a held ball after the timeout, and now the Salukis will get it. Tony Young with the basketball for Southern Illinois. Brian Mullins will handle most of the point guard duties, but he's on the bench right now. He's a true freshman. Here's Shaw, trying to find Tatum, who's hounded by Bradley. Shaw, meanwhile, goes to work on Wilson. That rolls off the rim, and Kusnard has the rebound and clears it to O'Geary. Still looking for some points.
Comes out, but a nice strong move by Matt Shaw that really shows you how he was able to work his way into the starting lineup last year for Southern Illinois. He's a guy that just makes plays happen.
And Tatum gets a steal. Shaw slides in there, and he's trying to call a timeout, and he gets it. Scoring's about as frequent as a soccer game right about now. And that timeout taken by Southern Illinois.
Well, it's always kind of a struggle here at Southern Illinois when these two teams face out, and it's kind of what we expected so far, just struggle to score.
Well, it's interesting. We talked to Chris Lowry earlier today. They really use their defense to set up their offense for the second half because they like to wear teams down so much that they'll get complacent in the second half, and they're hoping to get some more points to score the bulk of their points in that second period.
Well, yeah, they've got to get something going on the offensive end, and this team has struggled. Southern Illinois, they're shooting 41% on this season. If they can get some turnovers in the backcourt, though, get out in transition, that's where they can get the easy opportunities. On the other hand, Wichita State, they don't want to turn it over in backcourt situation and give up those easy buckets.
Wichita State team averaging about 71 points a game, 5th in the conference. Southern Illinois, meanwhile, down at the bottom, averaging just 62 points per contest. 3-2 is our score. Almost 5 minutes have gone by. Here's Jamal Tatum with the basketball. Very popular player here in the Carbondale area. Forces that shot. No good. Got the rebound. Blocked away partially. And it's taken down by Paul Miller, and he clears it.
It's just extremely tough for either of these teams to score against the set defense early in the possession. They've got to be able to rotate, get ball reversal side to side, and move that deep.
Miller with the shot from the baseline. That's in and out, no good. And the rebound pulled down by Tony Young. And Young heads up court, sees a lot of black jerseys in front of him.
And a good look over the top by Matt Bryars. Paul Miller now missed 2 shots that he'd normally make.
Young will try the 3. Cast that up and in. Tony Young, who averages 7 points a game. He's 37% from behind the arc. And that gives Southern Illinois its first lead of the ball game. And it comes with 5.5 minutes gone by.
Well, and he really has kind of been a missing link for this team offensively this season so far. He's a guy 3rd on the career field goal percentage shooting for Southern Illinois.
And there's that tough defense forcing a turnover, but Wichita State gets it back. Miller flies in and dunks it, and a foul is called on Wesley Clemens, who has come into the ball game for the Salukis. And that's the first foul on Wichita State. Count the basket, and Miller now has a chance for a 3-point play. And that's going to take us to a timeout. So we're tied at 5, and Wichita State will have a chance to take the lead when we come back to this low-scoring Missouri Valley Conference ball game after this. 5-5 our score here in Carbondale, Southern Illinois, and Wichita State. ESPNU's coverage of college basketball continues in the new year as the Michigan Wolverines face Marco Killingsworth and the Indiana Hoosiers. College basketball on ESPNU Tuesday at 6 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Michigan 10-1 on the year. Their only loss was to UCLA. It was 14th at the time. Indiana, on the other hand, has won 4 consecutive ball games, and all of those games have come on the road, so they'll be happy to be back in Bloomington as the new year rolls around.
And Indiana is on that Valley hit list. Indiana State knocked them off at Indiana State, which is a big win for the Missouri Valley.
Here in Carbondale, we're tied at 5. Nearly 6 minutes have gone by, and very little scoring has been done, which is what you kind of expect when the Salukis are on the floor because they play such dogged defense. Paul Miller's at the foul line. He dunked one in prior to the last break, and he's trying to complete a 3-point play. He does not do it. A 69% foul shooter. He misses his first attempt of the night.
Boy, Paul Miller's got to get on track for Wichita State. 1 for 3 now so far from the field, 0 for 1 from the free throw line.
Walker with the basketball. And now Brooks finds Young in the corner. He hit a 3 earlier. He hits again.
2 big threes now for Tony Young. He's struggling as far as his career standards go, shooting below 40% from the 3, but a couple big threes here early with Jamal Tatum not getting started offensively for Southern Illinois, and Wichita State's going to have to close on Tony Young on the perimeter.
Hand check foul called on Wesley Clemens. That's his first personal foul. It'll be Wichita State basketball under its own basket. Southern Illinois is not a team that relies upon the 3 all that much. They only make about 5 per game, which is 9th in the Valley. As a team, they're shooting 33%. As you see, Brian Mullins coming back into the lineup for Southern Illinois. He's the freshman point guard. Kuznard, Wilson, and now around to Breyer. Breyer shakes Brooks.
Just great pursuit by Southern Illinois. You get the ball in the post, and Wichita State kicks it back out. You think you're going to be able to get an open shot with one pass, but Southern Illinois great at closing out.
Good ball movement by Wichita State, and Kuznard misses the shot. Just one chance at it after all that passing. 7 minutes gone by. Southern Illinois with a 3-point lead. And the Salukis will slow things down on their end.
Pull it back out, patience, grind that motion offense, see if they can get something going.
Walker with Wilson on him. And he drug his pivot foot. I think the 2 got tangled in the lane there, and that caused Falker to nearly fall down.
Well, Chris Lowry not happy at all with Randall Falker. He wants him to get the ball out of his hands. You don't have something in the post. When you're a big guy, you got to kick that ball back out, reposition, let your offense start going again.
Tony Boyle has come into the ball game for Southern Illinois, replacing Falker, who goes to the bench. And now Austin Brooks picks up Matt Breyer in the backcourt. 3 turnovers apiece. Brooks nearly gets the turnover. Gets bailed out by Wendell Freedom, who's coming to the ball game. Wilson, drop of the shoulder into Jamal Foster. Both of these teams have substituted quite liberally in the early going. Shot clock inside 10. Freedom got Brooks in the air. 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Bradley's got to force it up in the air, and he does, but he traveled before the shot. 34 seconds wind down on the shot clock, and that is Southern Illinois basketball at its best. They won't necessarily pressure you 94 feet. What's the old Arkansas basketball with Nolan Richardson, 40 minutes of hell? It's more like 54 feet or so.
Yeah, they're, I think it's 47 feet. But they're, you know, the thing that Southern Illinois does is they just make it continue to back up. You're not able to get inside the three-point line, and Wichita State has to find somebody to be able to put the ball down on the floor and attack that pressure off the dribble, drive inside, and make that Southern Illinois defense collapse around you and then kick it to the open man.
Tatum called for traveling. And the Salukis handed back over.
I think Mark Turgeon really challenged his guards coming up to this game. He knew what kind of pressure they were going to face in this environment. Got to get somebody to be able to make something go towards the goal.
And they double team Kyle Wilson and force another Wichita State turnover. And that takes us to another timeout. 8-5 is our score. 11:48 remaining in the first half. Tony Young has been the shooting star for Southern Illinois so far. Coming in off the bench, he's drained a couple of threes. One of them is the difference in the game. 8-5, Southern Illinois on top of Wichita State, and what has been a defensive struggle for both of these teams. Why is that, Chris?
Well, Southern Illinois does such a great job of keeping you from coming down the floor and getting into scoring space. Well, look what happens here right now. Southern Illinois is pushing out defensively, trying to keep Wichita State from coming inside this line. Watch what happens. Wichita State the whole time, they're not going to make it inside that line. They're going side to side. There goes the pass in the paint, but just barely. Now look what happens. They double team in the post. They close out. 3 guys playing zone defense besides the double team, and now back again. They pushed you back out around the perimeter. Again, you're trying to get inside, but you can't do it because Southern Illinois did a great job of moving laterally with their feet on the ball. Great pressure, and again, they're turnover forced.
Mark Turgeon, his team was rather relaxed earlier today in their shoot-around. They were only here for about 45 minutes or so. Chris Lowry, on the other hand, with his Southern Illinois squad, they went at it for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
And what they go at? Defense the entire time. I mean, they did a little bit of offensive sets early, and then the rest of the time talking about defense, how they're going to play off the ball, when they're going to double on the post, how they're going to play the slip screen. Really spending most of their time on the defensive end. I think Chris Lowry has got this team bought into the fact that they're not going to be great offensively, and so they have to stop the other team.
Early on this season, when they started 2 and 3, they were giving up a ton of points, and then the light went on with everybody. And Chris Lowry told us today that his team finally decided that, hey, we got to really get a little more intensity on defense. They've done that, and they've won 6 in a row. And there's another turnover forced by the Saluki defense. That's now 6 turnovers in the ballgame against Wichita State. They've turned it over 3 consecutive possessions.
Now, Mark Turgeon's got to get P.J. Kusnard back in the game. He needs somebody who has the strength to be able to put the ball down on the floor and get past that initial defense. If you can break that perimeter, you can get any shot you want inside.
Tatum with the basketball, now Boyle. Foster's on the floor as well. He's 23 with the basketball. Brooks and Mullins for Southern Illinois in white. Reset the Shocker lineup in just a moment. This is Jamal Tatum, 18 points a game, second in the conference, but has yet to score in this ball game. Here's Brian Mullins, the freshman point guard. Southern Illinois is 7-1 since inserting him into the starting lineup. That shot taken with 4 seconds on the shot clock, and the rebound tapped out of bounds by Wilson. Fresh 35 for SIU.
That's what Jamal Foster gives you for Southern Illinois. Long presence inside, just able to mix it up a little bit. And Kyle Wilson's got to do a better job of getting him on his back and riding him out of the lane. They cannot play defense for 25 seconds and give up the offensive rebound.
Tatum gets free. Kusnard was trailing him the whole way, and Tatum didn't take the shot. He'll pull up here, and he hits the rainbow.
And that's his shot. You know, earlier we saw him come down and throw up a 3 that got nothing but air. That time he was under control, came off, used his speed to clear himself, and then able to stop and pop back up.
Breyer nearly lost it again. 10-5 SIU on top of Wichita State. O'Geary all by himself on the right wing, and he throws one in from 3. Second three of the ball game for O'Geary. He's got 6 points. Tatum with the basketball, leaving it for Mullins. Mullins did not start the year in the starting lineup. Here's Brooks trying to find a handle on it. And it's picked up by Boyle. Mullins finds Tatum, 6 seconds on the shot clock. That rolls off the rim. Brooks is there. Foster can't bring it down. It's Miller for Wichita State. And
Wichita State gets away with one there because Brooks right underneath. The little guy's got to get in there and help out the Wichita State big man on the glass.
Breyer, Wilson, Couisnard, Miller, and O'Geary for Wichita State. Breyer to the baseline. Wilson finds O'Geary. He'll try another three and hits again. That's his third.
Nice extra pass. Matt Breyer twisted an ankle, limping down the floor, asking to come out. But 2 extra passes that time for Wichita State, and they still come up with a guarded three.
And they're going to give Breyer a chance to limp off the floor and bring Wendell Creedham in. There's Matt Breyer, a sophomore from Belton, Texas, one of 5 Texans on this Wichita State roster. Mark Turgeon has done a great job of going down to Lone Star State and bringing in some great talent. Take a look at what Sean O'Geary has done for this ball club. He's been hanging outside the 3-point line.
You see there, Bill, 3 extra passes, and it all starts down on the baseline with Matt Breyer, the penetration, drawing the double team, then he kicks it back out, the extra pass around the perimeter, and you get a shot. But still, Southern Illinois so quick in pursuit, able to get back at you. Look at 3-point goals, Southern Illinois heating up a little bit.
Tony Young hits his third to match O'Geary. Each of those guys have drained 3 threes here in the first half. Both have 9 points. And that gives SIU the lead back, 13-11. Coming up on 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Here's Couisnard, who's been kind of quiet so far.
Well, he's got arguably the Valley's best defender on him right now with Tony Young, and there's an extremely tough shot by Sean O'Geary. That Southern Illinois defense forcing them into making shots they're not accustomed to.
Tatum back the other way, hits a high arcing shot over O'Geary. Back up to a 4-point advantage for the Salukis, 15-11. And that ball last touched by Mullins, out of bounds to Wichita State, and that takes us to a timeout, one that I'm sure Mark Turgeon is glad has rolled around because he likes to talk to his squad. They're starting to heat up from the outside here in Southern Illinois. Tatum is the guy they love to see do more of that. Welcome back. We're at the SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. ESPNU is bringing you Missouri Valley Conference basketball. It's Wichita State on the road taking on Southern Illinois with Chris Piper. I'm Bill Dolman. 15-11 is our score. Neither team has been all that effective from the floor. Wichita State just 4 of 14. 3 of those 4 makes are Sean O'Geary 3-point field goals. Southern Illinois, meanwhile, 6 of 15, just a little bit better. And as a result, they have a little lead on the scoreboard of 4 points.
But looking at the game so far, Wichita State's probably not real happy with the way they're playing, but yet you're only down by 4. So tells you a little bit about what your defense can do to keep you in the game, and where Southern Illinois, they struggle to get separation because their offense just hasn't started to click extremely well so far.
And a whistle and a foul, and that's going to go against Paul Miller. The guard play forced an errant pass from Couisnard, and take a look at this double team again.
Well, they just come right at you, and they get up, look at the elevation there, attacking the basket, or attacking the player. Couisnard leaving his feet. Cardinals send there, and he gets up, ends up putting a foul on his big man.
First foul of the game on Paul Miller. Young going down low to Falker. And the hook shot comes up short. Miller has the rebound.
So they've got to find a way to get Paul Miller active right now offensively. He could be such a big force for you inside.
Freedom leaving it for Ryan Martin, who's come into the lineup. And that's last touch by Southern Illinois.
Well, I said earlier when we talked about Paul Miller at the beginning of the game, you know, your big man could be one of your best assets as far as on the offensive end, because generally he's the guy that's not going to have a lot of pressure on him when he catches the ball. He can act as a pressure release for you. At 6'10", you'd like to think you'd be able to get the ball to him.
He gets free. Falker goes in, lays it up and in, draws some contact, and Miller's got a chance for a three-point play. Second opportunity from the foul line for Miller coming in.
Well, nice finish there. Set play on the inbounds for Wichita State. He gets the pick. He comes over the top and all the way to the basket for the big guy. You can't get it posting up in the paint. Might as well catch it on the roll and slide on in.
Second time he's failed on a three-point play opportunity. And Mullins pushes it ahead to Young. Good pass to Falker, who flies in there, and he's fouled on his way to the basket. That'll send Falker to the foul line for 2, and the foul is called on Ryan Martin, the junior out of Kansas City.
What a great look by Tony Young. He feels a double team coming. Look, he just splits right through it, and a good read by Randall Falker. He knows his man, Paul Miller, is showing hard on that screen that he's going to be able to slip to the basket. Good hands to catch.
Falker is a 50% foul shooter on the year. Now just under 50%, 13 of 27. Kuznard comes out of the Wichita State lineup, and Karen Bradley has come back in for Mark Turgeon.
Well, Randall Falker, a product of this Southern Illinois philosophy of redshirting a couple players every year. Randall Falker and Jamal Foster redshirted 2 years ago. Now Falker's getting good time as a sophomore, and Jamal Foster is coming off the bench as a sophomore as well, and really gave them a chance to get adapted to this system, get a little more maturity.
Butler leaves it for Miller. And now Bradley's in trouble. Shuffling his feet in the lane. There were 4 white jerseys around Karen Bradley. He really had nowhere to go, so he tried to shuffle out of there.
And a nice penetration starts the play. Paul Miller thinks about it, but look, a little pass down in the paint. But again, keep talking about Southern Illinois' great ability for pursuit, able to come down. You think you've got them beat. They're able to regroup, get the double down in the post, force the turnover.
Tatum with a quick shot. That rolls off, and the rebound to Preda. 15-13. Southern Illinois on top. Young with the quick hands, pokes it away from Wendell. Well, Wichita State will maintain possession of the basketball. The Shockers have turned it over 8 times here in the first half. Southern Illinois, just 4 turnovers.
Wendell Predum's going to learn real quick that you don't try to do any spin moves, anything fancy on Tony Young. You just take the ball and drive right at him.
Chris, you brought up the point to Wichita State, and there's a foul on Tatum. Wichita State likes to redshirt. You don't often see that.
Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois likes to redshirt players, and you don't see that so much in college basketball anymore because high school stars all want to play right now, but their philosophy is to try and redshirt 2 guys per year to build for the future.
Well, I think it's the guys that they're getting as well. Maybe just a little rough still, need a little more polish, and they get a chance, especially running this motion offense, to learn how the things are done. It takes a while, and that's the thing also when you watch Southern Illinois last couple of years. They struggle a little bit early as the guys have become accustomed to what they're supposed to do on the offensive end.
Kuznard is called for the charge, and it's another Wichita State turnover. That's the first personal foul on P.J. Kuznard.
Coming right at you, and again, the great rotation. Falker coming over, sliding, getting his feet set. But what happens here, good idea by P.J. Kuznard to attack the basket, but you have to be under control when you go inside. Plus, you got to move that defense a little bit before you're able to attack.
Another 3-point goal for Tony Young, his 4th of the first half.
Well, it's kind of Mark Turgeon's story at Wichita State this season. Always a guy comes up and gets hot against him offensively.
Mullins knocks it away from O'Geary. For Tony Young, he has 12 points in the first half, 12 of the team's 17. He only averages 7 points a game. There's Bradley with a good rebound and a putback for Wichita State. The Shockers needed that.
And that might be their best offense right now. Get the ball up to the basket and then go attack on the offensive boards. That's a way of beating that initial pressure.
Wichita State is an outstanding rebounding team, and they traditionally are. 3rd in the conference in rebound margin. That ball tapped away from Shaw, out of bounds to Southern Illinois. And here comes Kyle Wilson back into the lineup for Wichita State. And Austin Brooks comes back in for Southern Illinois. Miller is out for Wichita State, and Mullins goes to the SIU bench. Inside 5 minutes remaining in the first half with Chris Piper. I'm Bill Dolman. Missouri Valley Conference basketball on display tonight on ESPNU. And this is a conference that has arguably been the most talked about conference in the nation so far in the 2005-2006 season. Right now the RPI is ranked second behind the Big Ten. There's Shaw showing some patience, and that shot was blocked away, but Couisnard has whistled for his second personal foul. That could be a critical whistle against the Shockers.
Yeah, not the guy that they want to see have to go to the bench. Couisnard is one of the guys that really gives Southern Illinois matchup problems, although he has not been very effective for him offensively so far here tonight. Nice job by Matt Shaw. That whole play, getting his man set up, riding him up the lane, trying to get the space to allow the pass over the top.
Nick Rogers comes into the lineup for P.J. Couisnard, who goes to the bench, presumably for the final 4 minutes and 40 seconds of this first half with 2 personal fouls. Southern Illinois has been whistled 5 times, Wichita State 4 times. And Jamal Tatum will go to the SIU bench, and Brian Mullins will come back in after a brief break. Meanwhile, Matt Shaw waits at the foul line, the sophomore from Centralia, Illinois. Had a great end to last year. Played exceptionally well in the NCAA tournament, averaging 11 points during the 2 games.
Small team on the floor right now for Wichita State. Paul Miller sitting on the bench. Couisnard sitting on the bench as well.
Martin got free underneath and didn't recognize it. Forced the shot after putting on one too many moves.
Well, he got free underneath the basket, but the problem was he was underneath the basket. He was all the way underneath when he finally caught it. Wasn't able to just go straight up.
Well, Young is really feeling it. Brooks with an ill-timed jump, lost the rebound, and a whistle and a foul, and that's going to go against Matt Shaw of Southern Illinois. There are about 8,000 referees behind us and all around this court who saw this play otherwise.
That's how it always works, doesn't it? Matt Shaw still moving there. Good call.
Well, the Southern Illinois fans are to be commended. No students still during a holiday break, ain't no problem. They lowered the ticket prices and people kind of flocked here knowing that there's a great opponent coming and recognizing how good the basketball has been so far this year in the Valley.
Well, this is a big game for Southern Illinois. You know, that Wichita State has been playing them tougher here every year.
Walker with the rebound off the miss. Mullins gets around Wilson, forces that shot up and in. That's a gutsy move by a true freshman who has taken over the start at the point guard. He'll go back to the line when we come back. Brian Mullins out of Downers Grove, Illinois, the top player in the state last year, has found a home in the SIU lineup. Southern Illinois with a 6-point lead on Wichita State. 3:42 left to play in the first half, and Tony Young, who's been shooting a lot of threes lately, is shooting a lot of them here in the first half.
Well, looking for a little offense for Southern Illinois, and Tony Young spotting up, coming off that pick, looking for the shot here tonight, which really has been the difference for him. Prepared to take it. Look at a nice little look. Comes off the initial pick, goes back, resets Matt Shaw. Smart move there to get open on Tony Young, and he's just looking at the basket, squaring up, facing, and that's what happens when you're a good shooter. You start getting on that roll, you start looking at the basket every time, and if it's open, you take it. And Tony Young, 3 for 3, 11 points.
Came into this ball game hitting 9 of his last 25 three-point attempts. He's the 3rd all-time leading three-point shooter in Southern Illinois history. Well, we've had 3 three-point play opportunities in this ball game, and none have been finished. Mullins misses out of the timeout, and Young pokes that ball away from Nick Rogers, who checked in when Couisnard picked up his second foul. And Wichita State maintains possession. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Karen Bradley, now Rogers again. Wilson nearly walked with it. Coming up on 10 seconds. Shaw forces an errant pass off the backboard.
Well, you know what's happening, Bill, is Southern Illinois has really gotten into this, the heads of these Wichita State players. They're hardly looking to run the offense right now. It's almost like, let's get the ball out of my hands, get it to somebody else. And Southern Illinois has done what they wanted to do on defense, and it's totally taken Wichita State out of any looks at the basketball offensively. Paul Miller not getting any touches.
Miller's come back into the ball game. Here's Mullins. Shaw thought about the three and bails out to Young. 10 seconds to shoot for Southern Illinois in this possession. Inside three. Here's Young, a long-range three. That's no good. Falker and Rogers battle for it. It's Rogers who clears it to Bradley. 6-point lead for Southern Illinois. Good ball movement this time by Wichita State, getting it down low to Miller, spinning on Falker off the glass with a hook shot. That's a pretty play by Paul Miller. One
of the few times that Paul Miller has finally been able to get a shot. Initially started that off by moving a little bit out of the paint, getting out in the dead area, and then backing in. And Southern Illinois couldn't figure out who was supposed to go double on the post that time.
Young throws it out of bounds. He and Falker and Mullins don't communicate. It's a turnover to Wichita State.
Look where Paul Miller caught that ball. He caught it out of the paint a little bit, and that isolated the double team from coming over to get him. Then he's able to back Randall Falker down, and Miller has really developed a nice little move into the paint over the left shoulder and then come back on that right-hand jump hook.
Coming up on 2 minutes remaining in the first half. It's a 4-point lead for the Salukis. Again, Miller down low. Here's that's a conscientious effort being made by Wichita State to get the big guy involved.
But also Southern Illinois slacking off a little bit on the pressure. You don't see him as frenetic on the perimeter right now. You can't keep up that pace, and that's one of the questions we talked to Chris Lowry about. He's got a pretty thin bench. I mean, how much can you keep up that frenetic pace? And that's kind of one of those, well, we can see as long as we can go.
Well, and they're a little shorter on the bench tonight. Mike Dale, who began the year in the starting lineup for SIU, ran into some problems academically, also had some issues with a sore knee. Saw his playing time diminish. Mullins took over the start at the point guard spot. And Mike Dale had not played the last couple of ball games. We talked to Chris Lowry as to whether or not we would expect to see him today, and kind of broke the news to us that Mike Dale has left the team for personal reasons, so they don't have that extra guard. Here's Shaw with 3 seconds of the shot clock, and Brooks throws it up. That's the best defensive sequence we've seen from Wichita State.
Well, Wichita State all of a sudden starting to force Southern Illinois out of a little bit of what they want to do. And look, lo and behold, the Shockers down by 2 in a game that they have really struggled so far.
21-19, a chance to tie or take the lead with a 3. Here's O'Geary, who has 3 threes in the first half. Really the only offensive weapon the Shockers have had in this game until Miller of late. Wilson spinning on Falker, pulling up, and that won't fall for him, but he draws the foul. And that's team foul number 7 on Southern Illinois. Thursday night, ESPNU has a college basketball doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, catch a Big East showdown as Randall Hankey and the Providence Friars face the Georgetown Hoyas. Then at 9 Eastern, the Northern Iowa Panthers take on these Wichita State Shockers. College basketball on ESPNU Thursday night. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Be a battle of the big men in that Providence-Georgetown game. Hankey, a 6'11 sophomore. Georgetown is led by Roy Hibbert, who goes 7'2", 272 pounds.
That's a little bit of size. That's one you kind of let him pick his spot, and you just kind of work your way around him.
My guess he doesn't have too many spots on the floor to choose from.
Well, the entire floor.
Wilson good on the first, and now has a chance to tie. And he does. Kyle Wilson, an 80% foul shooter. 11th in the conference in scoring. He's a junior out of Plano, transferred to this Wichita State program from Illinois. Here's Mullins, picked up by Rogers. And now Tatum, who's had a quiet first half. Hit a couple of big shots, but it hasn't gotten on a roll. Hasn't really gotten into a rhythm. And Falker loses the handle on it. Good defense by Paul Miller. Wichita State right now is on a 6-0 run, and the Shockers have a chance with 41 seconds to take the lead.
Well, basketball is a pretty easy game, especially in a low possession game. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes ends up winning, and right now it's the tide has turned, and all of a sudden Southern Illinois making the mistakes that Wichita State was doing earlier.
There's about a 6-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Tony Young handling Bradley. And a whistle and a foul away from the basket. That's going to go against Randall Falker of Southern Illinois. That will send Wichita State to the foul line. I believe it was Wilson who was in contact with Falker.
And that's 2 on Falker, and he had really struggled early in the season with foul trouble. I mean, you look down the box scores, 4 or 5 fouls, 5, 4, 5. I mean, every game coming up with foul problems, and he is a guy that Southern Illinois cannot afford to lose.
It is Miller who shoots the foul shot. So 1-and-1, and that rolls in. Paul Miller's a 69% foul shooter. Fifth-year senior out of Jefferson City, Missouri.
Hurt his foot first year for Wichita State. Ended up taking a medical red shirt, and I tell you, the difference from him, even from just last year to this year, is remarkable. But as a freshman to now, he has really worked hard on his game and become one of the premier big men in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Well, they didn't intend to redshirt him the way Southern Illinois intends to redshirt its players, but it really, really has helped this Wichita State ball club to have somebody like him to build this team around this year. 10 seconds left in the half. Now Southern Illinois finds itself behind on the board. Here's Jamal Tatum with 3 seconds, pulling up. That's no good. And the rebound slapped out of bounds, and it will go to the Shockers with 94 feet and a second and a half to use. Freedom will do nothing with it, and Wichita State, who played kind of into Southern Illinois' hands for most of that first half. It's the Shockers who will go to the locker room with the lead 23-21, despite the great first half by Tony Young for Southern Illinois. Well, our Star Watch featured Jamal Tatum of Southern Illinois. He had a couple of highlights, but Paul Miller caught fire late, and he has helped Wichita State out to a 2-point lead. With Chris Piper, I'm Bill Dolman. Welcome back to SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. Low scoring, but an entertaining first half. It's the Shockers who come from behind late to take a 2-point lead into the locker room over SIU. Wichita State 11-2 on the year. Southern Illinois has won 6 consecutive ball games. Welcome back to halftime here in Carbondale. And joining me right now is the commissioner, and I would say a very proud commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, Doug Elton. Doug, in 18 years, you've done a great job as the commissioner of this league, but the way this conference has opened up in men's basketball this year, you have to be very proud.
Well, thank you, Bill. We're ranked second in the RPI right now, and we've got 6 teams ranked in the top 41. The only other 2 leagues who can compare to that kind of depth of strong teams is the Big East and the Big Ten. So we're really thrilled at the early season.
Can you pinpoint a couple of areas that have really helped this conference to really go to the next level?
Well, I think it's mostly about continuity in programs. Our coaches, Dana Altman has been at Creighton 12 years. Mark Turgeon has built a nice program at Wichita State. We've got coaches who have sunk in their roots here. That's really been the biggest difference. That and scheduling. They really do. They understand the importance of scheduling strong opponents.
You've made some changes in your scheduling policy as a conference. Talk about that and the effects that it's had to bring this conference to where it is right now in 2006.
Well, for 2 years, we did have a strength of schedule threshold that everyone had to meet, or they'd face a fine. They'd have to pay a penalty. We've done away with that. I think now our coaches and administrators understand that if they want a chance, a second avenue, so to speak, to get into the NCAA tournament at large, they've got to have a good, strong non-conference schedule. And through the year, this year for sure, our teams have played with the very best programs in America.
Well, Doug, that's a pretty tough thing to do because a lot of times those teams at the higher level conferences, the elite conferences, really don't want to take a chance and play a team from the Missouri Valley or the West Coast Conference or the Mountain West.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to programs like Iowa. Bob Bowlesby and Steve Alford have agreed to play our teams in the state of Iowa, Northern Iowa and Drake, home and home. It is much more difficult, Bill, to get good quality opponents on a home and home basis, but we've taken advantage of the exempted tournaments to get a lot of these teams on a neutral floor.
What has the success of the Missouri Valley Conference men's basketball so far this year done to brighten the spotlight on the rest of the programs in this league?
Well, I think we've always had good, strong women's basketball. We've had 2 teams in the Final Four, certainly in the last 12 years. We've got great men's soccer. I think it helps all of our programs when you have something that's highly visible as our men's basketball doing so well.
We've got 2 great programs on the floor tonight. It's been an entertaining first half. Go sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. A great environment here at SIU. I think we're going to see an awful lot of parity in our league this year. The teams that are going to rise above the pack are going to be those that can win on the road.
Doug Elgin, congratulations on a good start.
Thank you, Bill.
That's Doug Elgin, the commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference. We got to take another timeout. 23-21 is our score at halftime. Southern Illinois hanging in there thanks to the threes raining in by Tony Young. Welcome back to SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. The Missouri Valley Conference in the spotlight. Southern Illinois hosting Wichita State. It's the Shockers with a 2-point lead. It's the first lead for Wichita State since the opening basket of the ball game. But Chris Piper, they ended the half on an 8-0 run. They hit 4 of their last 7 shots. It really seems as though Mark Turgeon made the right adjustments toward the end of the first half, and that's why they lead it.
Well, I think what happened was Mark Turgeon told his team that they were going to come out. Southern Illinois is going to be great the first 10-12 minutes of the game. I know at least that's what he told me, so I'm assuming that's what he told them as well. But what happened is I think his team bought into that fact, and all of a sudden they're down by 6. They didn't throw in the towel. They came back. They got the ball to Paul Miller. They started breaking down that great pressure defense of Southern Illinois on the perimeter and started getting the ball inside, doing some things offensively. And lo and behold, all of a sudden now they're up by 2 points in a first half that they probably don't feel like they played very good basketball at all. But defense wins games, and Wichita State able to stop Southern Illinois there in the last 5 minutes.
So let's take a look at the first half statistics. 23-21 is our score on the board. Here are some of the other numbers from the first 20 minutes.
Well, I think the key when you look at this for Wichita State, points off turnovers, really, that was a number that they were extremely concerned about, especially about where those points off of turnovers came over. They felt like if they turned it over in the backcourt, gave Southern Illinois easy buckets, that was really going to help a Southern Illinois team that struggles to score a little bit. Turnovers pretty close there at the end, so Wichita State's got to be pretty happy with where they ended up in the first half.
Well, a lot of those 8 turnovers by Southern Illinois were unforced turnovers late, and they lost a lot of opportunities to put points on the board. We're going to come back, take a look at the highlights from the first half after this. Wichita State with a 2-point lead on Southern Illinois, 23-21, as halftime activities wind down here at the SIU Arena. Many of the highlights in the first half of play, Chris, came from the outside for both teams.
Well, early for Wichita State, it was Sean O'Geary. I mean, he really kept them in single-handedly. Nice pass out of the double team by Kyle Wilson. Gets O'Geary from the 3. And again, the ball reversal. O'Geary 9 points early, but late it was Paul Miller getting the ball inside. Watch a little jump hook going to the right hand. He ends up with 10. All late, able to get Wichita State back in this game. In Southern Illinois, it was the Tony Young show. He was tremendous. 11 points off of 3 threes early, and just aggressive looks at the basket for a change for him. Really squaring up strong, and he had to have a big half early for Southern Illinois, or they'd have been in trouble offensively.
Well, for Tony Young, one of those long-range shots, he had a toe on the line. Otherwise, he would have had 4 threes in that first half. But he was hot for Southern Illinois, and that certainly helped pick up the pace, because Jamal Tatum, second leading scorer in the Missouri Valley, as we revisit our Star Track, Jamal Tatum just 4 points in that first half on 2 of 9 shooting.
Yeah, and he's still struggling with shot selection. The 2 he made were good looks at the basket. You know, he missed a couple that were probably legitimate shots, but I could have counted 4 shots there in the first half that were 4 shots by him, and I don't think he necessarily needs to do that. I think he's still putting the pressure on himself from the offensive standpoint.
We'll take another timeout. When we come back, we'll bring you action from the second half of this one. Wichita State with a 23-21 lead on Southern Illinois. The Salukis have won 28 in a row. No students, no problem. Good crowd on hand tonight at the SIU Arena here in Carbondale. Young and old and in between on hand for this one. Wichita State 11-2 on the year. Southern Illinois under Chris Lowry 8-3. They've won 6 consecutive ball games. Mark Turgeon's team made some great adjustments toward the end of the first half, and Wichita State in black has a 2-point lead. The Shockers held Southern Illinois scoreless the last 3:42 of the first half, and that's when Southern Illinois at the time enjoyed a 6-point lead. It was 21-15 at that point. Wichita State closed out the first half on an 8-0 run, and they go directly to the basket to begin the second half of play. And Miller picks up a foul on Falker, and that's Randall Falker's 3rd personal foul.
And immediately, Wichita State picks up right where they left off, going inside the paint to Paul Miller. No double team again by Southern Illinois, and they can't guard Miller in the post without the double. We saw early in this game Southern Illinois so effective with the double team inside the paint, and that was on the guards as well that caught the ball. But here in the second half, Wichita State's been able to isolate. And one-on-one, Paul Miller's going to win that battle.
And he connects on both foul shots. So Falker goes to the bench. Jamal Foster comes in. Foster sees significant playing time for Southern Illinois, but doesn't have the presence inside of a Randall Falker. Tough pass along the baseline. Good catch by Young. Here's Tatum. Good entry pass to Shaw. He goes hard off the glass, and he gets it to fall.
Boy, nice pass by Jamal Tatum. He got the spacing that he needed. Came around to the right, opened up the angle, and really, you know, you always talk about the pass, but how about the great setup inside by Matt Shaw, able to clear that space and hold your man off. Got to have a lot of trust with the guards to trust the big man to hold his man to let you throw it inside.
Shaw knocks it away from Miller. Here's Tatum the other way. A lot of Shockers back, so Tatum shows some patience until now as he goes to the hole. Up the glass. Boy, that's a tough shot.
You know, but he's under control. I mean, it's still early in the possession, but I think you can take that shot if you're Chris Lowry and SIU. If you're under control, got your feet set, and you're going square to the basket.
Bradley goes in there aggressively, and he draws a foul on Jamal Foster. That's the second whistle against the Salukis here in the second half.
Well, we talked about the double team in the post. Watch what happens right inside there. They double, and then he's going to come right back out, looking over the top for the pass, and there's the angle to the weak side, and that allows Bradley to be able to cut to the basket. Nice look out of the double team by Paul Miller.
Karen Bradley, a junior out of Houston, transferred from Marquette. He played on the Marquette team back in 2003 that went to the Final Four, and also was on the squad that went to the NIT the following year. So he brings some great experience. Sat out last year as a transfer.
Well, he comes to Wichita State as a scorer as well, and he has struggled shooting the ball so far this season. We're really waiting for him to start finding his rhythm from the perimeter.
He's picked up the pace the last 2 games, scoring in double figures in both. And Shaw throws it away off the fingertips of Tatum. The 27-25 lead for Wichita State. The second half has already gotten off to a much better start for the Salukis offensively than the first half. They went 5 minutes and 30 seconds without a point in the ball game, and then they were scoreless, as I mentioned, the last 3:45.
I think they ran out a little bit of gas there late in the first half.
Kuznard.
Defensive pressure, not quite what it was when they started this game.
There's Kuznard saving it from going out of bounds. Cross-court pass to Wilson. And a whistle on the foul, and that's going to go against Foster. That's his second personal foul since coming in off the bench for Falker, who went to the bench with 3.
Not a deep bench for Southern Illinois, and if Wichita State can continue to try to get the ball inside the paint where you can create fouls, could be a tough matchup problem pretty soon here for Southern Illinois.
Miller backing in on Shaw. There's a high arcing shot. That's no good. Kuznard with the board. Too strong off the glass in the follow-up. Bradley, Kuznard, Wilson, Miller, and O'Geary for Wichita State in black. And there's a foul on the Shockers.
And a little makeup there. Gotten a little. They were letting the game go a little bit looser all of a sudden, and Southern Illinois fans a little upset with that call last time down the floor. They felt like that was a little ticky-tack compared to what the physical play they'd been going there, and all of a sudden now they're going to start calling a little tighter, I think.
Set the lineup for Southern Illinois. Tony Young will throw it in. Brian Mullins is out there. He wears number 10. Tatum is 3. Matt Shaw and Jamal Foster for the Salukis in their home white. Bradley goes to the bench. And into the lineup is Wendell Predum. He wears 5 for the Shockers. And there's another quick whistle on Wichita State.
Here we go.
And that's on Wilson.
Down a little bit.
First foul on Wilson, and the second whistle in about 2 seconds on Wichita State here in the half. Young again to throw it in. And he finds Foster.
I've seen plenty of these games. You don't go these games without both teams getting a double bonus. I mean, that's just the way it starts going.
Tough shot by Tatum. That's no good. We don't mind him taking those kinds of shots, no matter how tough they look. Wilson on Shaw. Oh, good lockdown defense by Shaw. He takes it away and then throws Wilson to the floor. Tatum back the other way. Over Kuznard and Miller. He scores. What a sequence by the Salukis.
How about that shot? Acrobatic, able to get up in the air and elevate, go over the top of 2 Wichita State defenders.
How about the steal by Shaw on the other end?
He is so smart inside. He really gained body strength over the summer.
Miller misses, and Young has the rebound.
Now, not the shot you want if you're Wichita State. You can't have your 6'10" big man falling away up top. Takes him completely out of the picture on the offensive boards.
Shaw trying to shake Wilson free. Here's Foster coming up short. Tough shot over Miller.
Well, if that one goes, you know it's a good night for Southern Illinois. That is not Foster's game inside.
And a charge is called on Wichita State. That's going to go against Freedom.
A rookie mistake coming down against a set defense, penetrating all the way inside the lane. First rule about a point guard in transition is you got to stay under control, the ability to pull up if the defense comes over. And now Wichita State falling into the same trap they did in the first half, and that is turnovers without getting shots at the basket.
Matt Shaw goes to the bench, and Tony Boyle has come in for Southern Illinois, freshman wearing number 35. Out of DeSoto, Missouri. And Couisnard will meet Young at midcourt. Couisnard sat a majority of the first half with 2 personal fouls.
And they've got to get him active. He is a tough matchup problem for any team. Strong and athletic, and he's got Young guarding him so he can take him inside the post.
Tatum gets free, pulls up, no good. Boyle with good position on the offensive glass, but he kicked it out of bounds. He did everything but secure the basketball.
Got to get a body on him. Tony Boyle, freshman, redshirted last season. He is strong. He's a bruiser. Not really going to be looking to score, but you've got to get a body on him, keep him off the glass.
Ryan Martin's in there now for Wichita State. He hands it off to Freedom. Nick Rogers has also come in wearing number 0 for the Shockers.
Again, Southern Illinois forcing Wichita State out. This is what they wanted to do. Put them in a situation where now they had to create something quickly against the shot clock.
And Boyle takes it away. And here comes Young. Wichita State has numbers, though, defensively. Mullins gets Rogers out of position, and that's swatted away. Still tied at 27. We've been in a holding pattern for about 2 minutes on the scoreboard.
It comes in waves, doesn't it?
More like ripples in this ball game. Miller off the glass. That's a hard-earned basket.
That's what he's got to do. He's 6'10". He's got size. He can push Foster underneath the basket, get himself set up for the offensive board.
He leads all scorers with 14. It's the first opponent in 2.5 games against Southern Illinois to reach double figures.
How about that?
Here's Mullins in the lane. Soft jumper doesn't fall.
6 straight games that Southern Illinois has won. The team has not scored over 55 points facing it.
Mullins gets in a takedown wrestling match with Freedom, and that's a foul that's going to go against Mullins, and that will take us to a timeout. Well, defense, they love it here in Southern Illinois. Look at that takeaway by Shaw, ahead to Tatum, and Jamal gets a highlight shot of his own to fall. Wichita State led by 2 at halftime, and Mark Turgeon's Shockers leaded by 2 with 14:31 left to play here in Carbondale, Illinois. ESPN News coverage of college basketball continues in the new year as the Michigan Wolverines face Marco Killingsworth and the Indiana Hoosiers. College basketball on ESPNU Tuesday at 6 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. The Hoosiers will be happy to be back in Bloomington. They haven't played at home since the 3rd of December. A month on the calendar gone by before playing a home game. But they've won 4 in a row. Maybe they want to stay out there. 29-27 is our score here at the SIU Arena. Capacity more than 9,600 here in this building. And they've got a very, very good crowd here for this one. And we've got a whistle and a foul on Wichita State. That's on Ryan Martin, his 2nd personal foul. Each team now with 14 fouls here in the second half. So a turnover to SIU.
I was going to say, that's a foul you don't generally see away from the ball, not setting the screen, just trying to get open.
Foster and Mullins play catch in the backcourt. Here's Brian Mullins.
Yeah, Wichita State able to maintain that lead, both with Couisnard and O'Geary sitting on the bench over there trying to regroup. They didn't have such a good start here to the second half.
Tatum getting away from Bradley. Mullins is all by himself in the corner. Got it!
Brian Mullins is going to become one of the premier players in the Missouri Valley before it's all said and done. Great release there, hand in the face.
Bradley misses on the other end. Couisnard will try the three, and that was a rocket shot with a high bounce and a backskin.
How about that? Couisnard now 9 of 18 on the season from three-point line. You get bounces like that, you can shoot 50%.
That bounce was a lot higher than the arch on that shot.
However it goes in, that's all that matters.
Tatum with a great move on Bradley. Couisnard with another rebound. He owns the glass in the Missouri Valley. P.J. Couisnard wearing 2 for Wichita State. Most of his rebounds, however, come on the offensive end. Nearly half. And here's Wilson. And a foul is called on Southern Illinois. There's a lot of banging and shuffling of feet going on down there. I think the crowd thought that traveling was going to be called on Kyle Wilson.
Well, watch the body up inside. Tony Boyle, Kyle Wilson pushing and shoving there a little bit. And this is a play where you've just got to understand, he'll learn, Tony Boyle, the initial contact is fine, but if you keep on pushing on the guy with the ball, they've got to call the foul on the defensive side.
Well, the whistles are starting to mount up. That's 5 team fouls now on Southern Illinois here in the second half. 4 whistles against Wichita State. Shockers with a 2-point lead. Miller hounded by Boyle, a little more careful that time. And here's O'Geary, who had 3 3-point goals in the first half. Wilson for E at the top of the key. And there's a foul on Couisnard, crashing the boards. That'll be his 3rd.
Now, tough decision now for Mark Turgeon, whether he wants to leave in Couisnard with 3. Chance he picks up the 4th, and you automatically have to get him out of the game, or you go ahead and pull him, which he's going to do, and let him sit and wait. Keep him for the end of this game. Good decision there. You got to have Couisnard late in this game. Let your other guys go and see what you can get done.
But is it a bad thing for Wichita State at this point in the ballgame? They really have not been able to rely on P.J. Couisnard all that much. He only has 3 points and 3 rebounds. They were kind of accustomed to him not being in there in that first half. Yeah,
but you expect your big players to step up at the end. You got to have them on the floor. You still got a 2-point lead. Why risk it at this point?
Kayron Bradley with the foul. That's his 2nd. And team foul number 6 now on Wichita State. 12:15 to play in the game. We may be at the line for a while. The way this thing is going. Here's Young free along the baseline. Back iron no good. O'Geary taps it to Wilson. Sean O'Geary had the 3 trays in that first half. And really that all happened in the first 10 minutes or so of this game. He's been quiet ever since.
Well, great job by Matt Shaw inside. He's just not allowing Paul Miller to have the spot that he wants on the floor.
Wilson free for 3. He's not afraid to take that. They're not afraid to let him do it. Rogers with the rebound. That's no good. Miller pulls down the offensive board, and he draws a foul. 16 fouls now against Southern Illinois.
Well, sometimes to win, you got to have plays from guys you just don't quite expect it. And for Wichita State, it was Nick Rogers, seldom used senior, coming in, keeping it alive.
Well, you do expect guys like Paul Miller to make plays for you. He leads everybody in scoring in this one with 14 points. He'll have a chance at the line when we come back. Good competitive ball game shaping up here at the SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. Wichita State continues to lead this one by 2, 32-30. The Shockers trailed by as many as 6 points in the first half, but went on an 8-0 run, hitting 4 of the last 7 field goal attempts in the final moments of the first half to take a 2-point lead into the locker room. We've been tied a couple of times here in the second half, but it's the Shockers back out on top. And Paul Miller at the line shooting 2 extends the lead to 3. Miller now with 15 points in the game. 8th in the conference in scoring. Give him 16. That's 2 better than his season average.
It's really been in about the last 16, 17 minutes as well. He pretty ineffective early for Wichita State inside because they just couldn't get past that three-point line, couldn't break down the initial perimeter defense of Southern Illinois. Boy, he's got a quick crossover to the left, doesn't he?
It's a great move to the basket. He's put that move on Cameron Bradley about 4 or 5 times right in front of us.
I think he's going right, just explodes past left.
And it's not one of those crossover moves that gets the old-timers uptight about carrying the basketball. It's a good, clean move one way to the next. Turnaround jumper by Miller is no good, and the loose ball picked up by Boyle.
Well, Wichita State really focusing right now inside the paint offensively, trying to get the ball to Paul Miller, and Boyle has done a nice job of pushing him out of his sweet spot.
Shaw works hard and gets it to roll in. Well, he was determined to make that.
That Shaw really is a heck of a player. He doesn't, you know, he's the kind of guy that just doesn't jump out at you as somebody that's going to make plays happen. He's smart. He's able to stay down on his feet. And strong as well.
4 in a row scored by Southern Illinois. Mark Turgeon wants to talk it over with his team. 10.5 left to play here at SIU. Chris Lowry has his team on a roll. 34 all. Southern Illinois on a mini 4-0 run. They've done it with their defense.
Interior defense, physical inside. Watch Matt Shaw garden on Kyle Wilson. Just stops him initially and then takes the ball from him. Physical interior defense. And then the triple team inside. Paul Miller catches it. He's got 3 white jerseys. Got to stay strong. Southern Illinois attacking inside defensively in the paint.
Southern Illinois does not have a very big front line. Shaw goes 6'7". Boyle goes 6'8". Falker is 6'7", but they played much bigger than that because they play so aggressively.
And they were doing that with Randall Falker on the bench with that 3rd foul.
Well, Falker is back in there right now with 10 minutes to go in the game.
Big possession here for Wichita State, just from the standpoint that Southern Illinois crowd is in it.
With 3 seconds on the shot clock, Miller misses. Bradley takes it away from Brooks, who's in there for SIU, and a fresh 35 for Wichita State.
A little spurt defensively here by the Salukis.
Miller waits for Shaw and turns around and goes off the glass. Boy, that's a pretty shot.
Boy, he made it a little tougher on himself than he really needed to, didn't he? Chopped that, got himself set. You can't fault the patience, but sometimes you like to see him roll and go and score immediately.
2 hard-earned team points by Wichita State to regain the lead. Wesley Clemens is in there. He gets some contact and scores anyway.
Boy, Kusnard just shoves Paul Miller in the back, and he's lucky he didn't force him into a foul on Clemens. Clemens comes off that wide-open interior breakdown defensively by the Shockers.
Kusnard threw it into the hands of Brooks and then pushed Brooks on the way down. And that is 4 personal fouls now on P.J. Kusnard.
Well, you said it earlier. He has not played a very good game for Wichita State here tonight. And he is going to end up sitting down with his 4th foul. The offense for the Shockers just been a little bit out of rhythm when Kusnard's on the floor trying to do a little bit too much.
Kusnard's a guy who averages 27 minutes a game for Wichita State. They don't have anybody on their roster that's in the 30-minute per game range, so he's out there as much as anybody. And that was the 7th team foul of the half on Wichita State, so we're shooting from here on out. 16 fouls have been whistled against the Salukis. Clemens with a great rebound off that miss. Inside 9 minutes remaining. Shaw for 3. That might have brought down this house. And again, a good hustle play by one of the Saluki guards. That was Brooks. 3rd chance at it in this possession for Southern Illinois. And there's Falker out of control, crashing into Kyle Wilson, and he picks up his 4th personal foul.
Now watch the help defense coming over on the weak side, and I'm not sure if Kyle Wilson gets there in time, but he gets the call, the pass, and Falker got a help coming over. Kyle Wilson sliding. Looks like he's still moving in, and Randall Falker ends up getting his 4th foul. Wichita State needs a break there, and they got it.
Tied at 36. That's the 7th team foul now on Southern Illinois. Because it was an offensive foul, that's why we're not shooting. Mullins takes it away from Bradley. Predum hacked him on his way to the hole, and that'll send Brian Mullins to the foul line to shoot 2. Could have been a foul earlier in the backcourt.
Brian Mullins, second in the league in steals, and you see why. Just shooting the gap there. Great recognition of the pass coming down. Overplaying defensively. He's a smart kid. Saw him coming down the floor, picked the spot. And then once you commit to go, you got to go, and he did.
This is the first of 2. We're at the SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. It's Wichita State taking on Southern Illinois in Missouri Valley Conference basketball. With Chris Piper, I'm Bill Dolman. Great to have you with us as we edge into conference play in the new year. And a great matchup between the hottest team in the league in Southern Illinois, who's won 6 consecutive ball games, and the winningest team in the league in Wichita State, who enters at 11-2, 2-0 in conference play.
And you know what's happened here for Southern Illinois that gets this crowd energized? They bring the 2 guys off the bench, Wesley Clemens and Austin Brooks. They're 2 energizers on the defensive end. Great hustle, got this crowd going, got some turnovers going, and got Southern Illinois back to playing the same speed and intensity that they were in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Wendell Predum got the loose ball and then was fouled by Jamal Tatum. That's Jamal's 2nd personal foul. Each team now at 18 fouls in the half with just over 8 minutes remaining in this ball game. The Salukis with a 1-point edge, 37-36. And 1-and-1 fails.
And those are shots and types of plays that Wichita State has to capitalize as they come down this last 8 minutes against Southern Illinois. All the little things are going to add up for them.
Shaw missed a 3 earlier. He hits there. A 4-point lead for the Salukis. And another timeout is taken by Wichita State. It's a 30-second timeout taken by Mark Turgeon.
Well, Southern Illinois just getting what they want right now against this Wichita State defense. The penetration in the lane, the nice little kick out, and Matt Shaw showing another part of his game that he's added this year, the ability to step back outside. And so crucial when you're a big man inside. If you have that ability to step out, get that open look. He doesn't take a lot of threes, but he can hit them when he does. And a nice job there by Southern Illinois, again, attacking that Wichita State defense. They've got them on their heels using the defense, and that's what Chris Lowry talked about today. Southern Illinois feeds off their defensive intensity, forcing the other team to try and rest when they get on defense, and the Salukis capitalize.
Well, both teams seem to have settled into a bit of a rhythm, both offensively and defensively to this point in the second half, but we're in a very similar situation as we were in the first half. Southern Illinois edged out to a 6-point lead. They led at one point 21-15. So Mark Turgeon drew up the right plays, called the right timeouts, got his team settled down, and they rolled toward halftime and eventually took the lead. It's a similar situation right now, although the intensity has picked up. Do they have the same formula for success here in the final moments of this game?
Well, I think the formula for success for Wichita State is Paul Miller catching the ball.
And with that whistle, we've got ourselves yet another timeout with 7.5 minutes remaining in the ball game. The Salukis are in control, but not by much. 40-36, Southern Illinois with the lead on Wichita State. The Salukis are very, very tough in this building. They've won 28 consecutive games here at home. That's the 3rd longest home winning streak in the country, behind Gonzaga, who has won 31 consecutive games in Spokane, and Illinois, who has won 29 consecutive games in Champaign. The score 40-36 as we take a look at our game reset. Each team has been whistled for 18 fouls in this half. Southern Illinois has 4 timeouts remaining. Mark Turgeon has been using his liberally here in the second half. And the possession arrow belongs to the home team, the Salukis. Not only has Southern Illinois had success overall, but they've had a lot of success against Wichita State in particular in recent years, winning 13 of the last 15 meetings in this series, which is relatively close. SIU has 39 wins all time. Wichita State has defeated Southern Illinois 31 times, but recent history, this series is really tilted toward SIU.
Well, actually, for Southern Illinois, you win 4 straight Missouri Valley titles. Their history is tilted with everybody right now.
Miller, this is the second. So 1 of 2 that trip. to make it a 3-point ball game, 40-37. Well, not only that, but Southern Illinois has had some success on the road as well. 38-19, 66% of their games away from home.
And that's where you separate yourself here in the Missouri Valley, is the ability to win on the road. So far right now, home team's 9-1 to start the Missouri Valley season.
It's been very, very competitive to start league play. This conference number 2 in RPI. These two teams 3 and 5 in the preseason conference standings. Right now they're 1-2. Great play on the steal and the basket by Tony Young.
Well, the killer there for Wichita State, the turnover that leads to the layup, the easy 2 points for Southern Illinois. You can't give them easy opportunities because they really struggle sometimes to score.
Wichita State needs a basket. Miller gets a tough shot underneath.
Boy, nice job by Paul Miller. And that time he didn't wait for the defense to get set and make the set move on him. He spun, continued to move his feet to get around Boyle.
Tatum misses. And the rebound tapped to Mullins. And a fresh 35 for SIU.
And there's what Brian Mullins does so much for this Southern Illinois team. Just patience, stability on the floor. You know, easy thing there would, after the offensive rebound, would be to try to attack, make a great pass. Instead, he waits, gets the offense set up. That was grind a little motion.
Pass nearly taken away. Shaw collects it. And off the glass, Tony Boyle gets 2 for the Salukis to help the lead back to 5, 44-39. He's probably surprised as everybody else in this arena that thing went down.
Well, I don't think he scored in the last 3 or 4 games either, so.
O'Geary, who hit 3 threes in the first half, misses that one. That's off the fingertips of Shaw. Freedom out of control in the lane, misses.
Boy, not a shot that you needed right there. You get the offensive rebound. Brian Mullins just showed you on the opposite end what you need to do. Let your team get set up and get your big man the ball inside.
And timeout is taken by Southern Illinois. Chris Lowry wants to give his team a chance to catch a breath.
Watch Paul Miller inside. Look at the angle they've got right there. Inside to be able to pass it. And he just keeps moving his feet, sliding underneath. He knows he's got Boyle on his hip. He works his way underneath the lane and gets there. But all set up by the great seal by Paul Miller, holding Boyle up the lane. It allows him to get the ball to the baseline and make the entry pass.
Well, to say that this game is being played at Southern Illinois' pace is an understatement. 44-39. Wichita State comes into this ballgame averaging 71 points per game. They've only managed 39 through the first 35 minutes. Thursday night, ESPN US college basketball, a doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, catch a Big East showdown as Randall Hinkey and the Providence Friars face the Georgetown Hoyas. Then at 9 Eastern, the Northern Iowa Panthers take on these Wichita State Shockers. College basketball on ESPNU Thursday night. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. 5-point edge for Southern Illinois. The Salukis' biggest lead so far in this game is 6. That was in the first half. They led it 21-15, and that evaporated. And there's a foul in the backcourt as Tatum makes his move on Bradley. He's been making those kinds of moves on K-Run all night. And that'll send Tatum to the line. 9th team foul on Wichita State here in the half. Here's a look at the Missouri Valley Conference standings heading into play tonight. You see Wichita State and SIU, the top 2 teams, the only unbeaten teams in league play. Northern Iowa has gotten off to a great start this year, 11-2. They're the preseason favorite in the Missouri Valley. But you look at that list of teams, 1 through 10. Illinois State pulled off one of the more surprising wins of the year when they knocked off Creighton the other night on the last-second shot.
And that was with Nate Funk playing as well. He didn't start the game for Creighton, but he had 30 minutes in that game. Bradley, extremely talented. They're the team that's already beaten Northern Iowa, 1 at home. Bradley took Wichita State into overtime. Top to bottom, I think the Valley this year probably as tough as they've been in a long time.
There's a whistle away from the basket. And Falker turned his head very quickly because he's out there with 4 personal fouls, but that wasn't him.
He was running, wasn't he? No. It's kind of like if you get in trouble, if you don't look at the person, then you're not in trouble, right?
Foul is on Mullins, his second personal foul. 10 fouls now whistled against the Salukis, so we're shooting 2 from here on out. And O'Geary hits the first of 2. Here's a look at some of the news and notes from the Missouri Valley Conference. The #2 RPI in the country through January 1, just second behind the Big Ten. Look at the non-conference, 47-3 in non-conference home games, and the 68-22 start is the third best in league history, but it's the best of the modern era. You got to go back to the 1910s, teens, and 20s to find a Missouri Valley season that was as successful through the first half as this year has been. And a couple of weeks ago, people were thinking, you know, the Valley might easily get 3 teams into the NCAA tournament, maybe 4. And I think the consensus amongst most basketball observers is that 4 is a real possibility and should be a probability. Got a lot of basketball left to be played, but that's how impressive this league has been to the start of 2005-2006. And a scramble for a loose ball, and Southern Illinois has called the timeout. 46-41. SIU's used its second timeout of the second half. 4.5 minutes left to play in this ballgame.
Well, it's kind of become what we expected, just an all-out battle. If you can score, it's a bonus. And that's why the little things with 4.5 minutes left in the game are going to be the things that separate the teams. The loose ball, you go down, you come up with it. I mean, I've seen enough of these games here between these two teams to know that it's not going to be the great plays that win it. It's going to be the little things that you have to do each and every time down the floor to separate yourself out.
Last year when these two teams met on this floor, it was the final home game of the year of 2005, and Southern Illinois was saying goodbye to a senior class that had won 112 ball games, so it was a rather emotional night. And Mark Turgeon knew that he was going to have an uphill climb last year. Very competitive game, 65-55.
Well, it was much more competitive down to the end than it just kind of blew open. But you have Darren Brooks, Stetson Hairston, Lamar Owen, Josh Warren, all graduating from that great class.
Falker gets the basket. Good position on Miller.
And good ball reversal, and that's what Chris Lowry talked about. When they're good offensively, they reverse it without the ball touching the floor, and they did that, and it's just too tough to guard inside.
Biggest lead of the ball game for Southern Illinois, a 7-point advantage. And that ball last touched by SIU, and that takes us to another timeout. 48-41 is our score. Falker working with 4 personal fouls, but he gets the 2. Southern Illinois with its biggest lead of the night, 48-41, inching away from the Shockers with under 4 minutes remaining in the ball game. It's Wichita State basketball as we resume play. Kuznard, Wilson, Miller, O'Geary on the floor for Wichita State, along with Karen Bradley. And it's Kuznard who's out there with 4 personal fouls. Here's Miller with a turnaround jumper. Oh, that's a pretty shot.
Tough shot over the left. Forced him out a little bit, but you like what Wichita State does coming on the inbounds, go right inside to Paul Miller and attack Randall Falker as well.
And a turnover along the baseline. Bradley comes away with it. It's a 5-point ball game. Here's O'Geary. Wilson nonchalantly went after that pass, and O'Geary bails him out.
And Matt Shaw a hand in the passing lane as well.
O'Geary over Tatum. That's a tough shot. Kuznard climbs the back of Mullins, and that's going to be all for P.J. Kuznard.
Well, bad shot by Sean O'Geary, and that puts P.J. Kuznard in position for his 5th foul.
That's the second, at least the second time tonight where he's picked up a foul on an error made by somebody else.
Well, his last 2 fouls actually on the offensive rebound coming over the back. You know, you like to think that you had success last time down for Wichita State going inside the paint. You need to do it again. That's just an extremely tough shot by O'Geary, a hand in the face, and Kuznard coming over the back. He's got to be smarter than that with 4 fouls.
So his day is done, and Nick Rogers will be the one who will come in for Wichita State. Rogers, a senior out of Houston. And there goes Kuznard to the bench. Shockers 11-2 on the year. They've won 4 consecutive, off to a 2-0 start in conference play, but they haven't been easy.
Well, where that really hurts Wichita State is here in the end when you're going to have to try to extend your defense some more. You'd like to have O'Geary out on the floor because he's got the size and the speed to be able to go and pick up a big man, but give you that extra speed on the perimeter.
Mullins hits them both. And it's back up to a 7-point advantage, 50-43. Southern Illinois trying to preserve a 6-game winning streak and a 28-game home winning streak. In fact, they're 58-1 since the 2002 season here at home. Rogers from the corner misses the three, and Tatum has the rebound.
Nice job by Southern Illinois playing defense, really forcing Wichita State. Probably a shot that Southern Illinois would rather have Wichita State than Wichita State would shoot.
Tatum to the baseline, forced that. Good rebound by Falker, but it's stripped away by Bradley.
Paul Miller getting a hand in there as well. Really a situation Falker probably should have pulled that back out and used some more time.
Miller gets some contact from Randall Falker, and it looked like he was trying to get out of there. That foul might be on Young.
Watch a big fella keeping Falker behind. Does a great job of using his body to shield off the defense, and he dribbles over to the double team.
That foul is on Tony Young, not Randall Falker. So here's Paul Miller to the line to try and add to his career high, and he does. Well, Falker has the 4 fouls, and with 2:19 left to play in the ball game, do you start to throw caution out the window and go play your regular ball game?
Well, you'd like to have a big guy in there able to rebound the missed shot, though, so you'd still like to have Falker there.
Well,
I don't think he held back at all that last play.
Shaw gets the miss.
Now missed free throws starting to add up now for Wichita State.
Shockers are not a good foul shooting team, just 67% on the year. They get there a bunch more than their opponents. 93 more makes, 117 more attempts than their opponents, but just 67%, which is 8th in the league.
Wichita State playing straight defense here. Got a couple opportunities still possession-wise. You just don't want to give up the offensive board.
Mullins misses with 7 seconds on the shot clock, and Falker pulls down the biggest rebound of the night.
Well, now I think you got to go get him.
And a foul is called on Prida with 1:38 left to play in the ball game, and the Salukis up by 6, 50-44.
Now still a lot of time. You got 1:38 left, but it's not a lot of time when you look at the total number of points scored. I mean, you're down by 6, maybe 8 here. It's a big hurdle when you've got 44 in the game.
And Young makes it a 7-point ball game. Tony Young just 9 of 10 coming into the game from the line. And it was his 3-point shooting in the first half that really kept Southern Illinois in the ball game, at least in the first 20 minutes. He connects on them both.
They've spread it out a little bit. I think Southern Illinois, you get Young early. Matt Shaw picked it up here in the second half. Tatum did there for a spurt as well offensively, but the whole story for Southern Illinois has been on the defensive end. A lot of time being used off the clock right now. Got to look at the basket.
Well, Geary got in trouble and threw it away, and there wasn't anybody there to help him out. Coming up on a minute remaining. Well, during this 6-game winning streak, Southern Illinois has held each of its opponents under 55 points. And that pace looks like it will be kept tonight. And the spirited crowd that showed up 2 days after, or 2 days into the new year, looks like it's going to go home happy. They're feeling pretty good about themselves right about now. This is a big win for Southern Illinois. We watched their walkthrough today, and it seemed as though there was some pensiveness to what Chris Lowry was trying to get done.
Well, after an hour and a half working on defensive drills, I think they were ready to go out and do something. But, you know, I think the thing that the tone was set in the shootout, which was they're going to win it on the defensive end, and they've definitely been able to put themselves in a position to win it by their defense.
Of course, 20 turnovers tonight, and there's a foul on Mullins, and you might want to chalk that one up to a freshman mistake, although he doesn't make too many of them. It's a 10-point lead for the Salukis.
No, he's been pretty solid for him. Really, you know, you got Jamal Tatum. He's not a guy that you want distributing the ball to other guys. I think he really is a guy that needs to be set up offensively, plays better off the ball. Brian Mullins, a guy that Got a good head for the game. He can get everybody else direct traffic and let Jamal Tatum worry about scoring.
Gary connects on the first of two to bring it back into single digits, 54-45.
Defensive substitution now by Wichita State. Going to pick up full court. Look for the steal. If you don't get it, you got a foul.
Ryan Martin is in there. There's number 4. Geary back irons the second. Faulkner with the rebound.
Yeah, and that's a situation there. You can go for the foul, going for the offensive rebound. And they're going to trap. See if they can get a turnover.
And there's Bradley fouling Mullins. They go after the true freshman. Now, this is a good stretch for Southern Illinois. They're currently on a stretch in their schedule where they're playing 4 of 5 games here at home. Meanwhile, Wichita State, the schedule makers, didn't do them a whole lot of favors. They're currently in a stretch where they're playing 6 of 9 games on the road. They've got a big one coming up, though, on Thursday when the preseason favorite in the Missouri Valley, Northern Iowa, comes to town. And you can bet that the Charles Cook Arena is going to be packed to the rafters for that ball game.
Yeah, no question.
ESPNU will be there for that to bring it to you.
Boy, what a heartbreaker that was last year for Wichita State, losing that game on a last-second shot by Ben Jacobson. A 3 to boot.
There's going to be a whole lot of meaning in that ball game for these Shockers. Try to bounce back from what appears to be just their 3rd loss of the season. And there's a foul called on Faulkner trying to draw the charge.
Well, you know, on the good side for Wichita State, Bill, I mean, this is a game when you look at the schedule that you don't necessarily expect to win. If you get it as a victory, then that's all the better. But winning at Southern Illinois is going to be a hard task. I mean, we're looking at this is the 38th straight home Missouri Valley game that Southern Illinois has a chance to win. Still saying chance. We've got 11-point lead with 33 seconds, but Southern Illinois, on the other hand, though, is going to be pretty happy with the way they play. They've established that they're going to do things on the defensive end. Going to struggle on the offensive end, but if you're that good defensively, you get yourself some opportunities.
This is a good win for Southern Illinois, and I guess maybe you could put it in the category a better win for Southern Illinois than a bad loss for Wichita State. Talking to Mark Turgeon earlier today, he said last year when we were on such a great start, they were 16-2 at one point. They lost at Bradley. He said it was devastating to us, and it really affected the rest of our season. He said we're not going to let that happen to us this year. And they've got a chance to bounce back in a big way at home, as I mentioned on Thursday night. Both of these teams kind of came into this season with a bit of a chip on their respective shoulders, given the preseason predictions. Southern Illinois, a 4th straight conference champion, comes in as the preseason number 3. Wichita State comes in number 5. Now, preseason predictions aren't worth a whole lot other than motivation for your team one way or the other. And
well, I think, too, this year, I mean, the Valley is so wide open. I mean, it's just, I mean, you see it early with Creighton losing at Illinois State, Northern Iowa losing at Bradley, although Bradley is just probably one of the most athletic teams in the conference.
56-47. Here's Tony Young at the line. He's quietly been the consistent leader for this team tonight. 15 points now. One of 4 Salukis in double figures. He has 15. Tatum has 14. Just 5 of 18 for the floor for Jamal Tatum, but he's in double figures nonetheless. Beg your pardon. Young with those 2 foul shots now has 17 points in the game. And Matt Shaw, 4 of 6 from the floor, including a 3-pointer. He has 11. So good balanced scoring tonight for Chris Lowry and company. O'Geary misses that shot. And that miss last touched by SIU at Shocker basketball with 16 seconds remaining.
And what's happened as well for Southern Illinois is they get by another game without needing to get points scored off the bench. But the most important thing, I really think Wesley Clemens and Austin Brooks came in about the 10-minute mark of this game and changed the whole tone of the game defensively, got that energy going, got the crowd involved, gave that spark to the starters who've been out there quite a bit. And really propelled them to this win.
Wendell Priedom with the basket. 8 seconds remaining. And now it's just a formality as the clock winds down. Wichita State will not foul, and the Salukis extend their winning streak to 7 consecutive ball games. They improve to 9-3 on the year. They're the only unbeaten team in the Missouri Valley Conference. Southern Illinois is now 2-0. Wichita State falls to 11-3, 2-1 in conference play. That's it from the SIU Arena in Carbondale, Illinois. The final score, it's Southern Illinois 58, Wichita State 49. Stay tuned for the 2006 Outback Bowl as number 25 Iowa takes on 16th ranked Florida. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Chris Piper, this is Bill Dolman saying so long from Southern Illinois.